Dungeons and Dragons Adventurer. Issue 3. Okay then, so Dungeons and Dragons Adventurer Issue 3. Let's just see what we're going to have in this today. So to start with, this is the first issue that doesn't have dice, and it's instead got these acrylic standees, which looks to be all the character meeples for our playing characters. Here we are. So yeah, there we go. Nice and easy. Let's just punch these out. It looks like I might have to peel this off before I can punch them out first, actually. These are actually quite tricky to get into their bases at the minute. See, it says match and print that in, but the bases don't actually have any names or anything. Neither do these guys, although they're all the same base, but... Oh, there we go. It took a bit of force, but the first one's done. We've got our little acrylic mini there. There we go. Got them all in their bases now. And just remind me not to take them out again, because that proved a lot more tricky to do than I wanted to. So they can stay there. So it has got a little warning about ensuring a snug fit. Only go from one side. I'm pretty sure I flipped the base over a couple of times. I don't think I forced them in, but they're all in now, so this doesn't matter anymore. That can be gone. Here we see them up close and personal in all their might and glory. And here we see the party perfectly placed to take up a couple of squares on a map. This will definitely be a lot more useful when we get an actual indoors map rather than this big outdoor one we've got. Anyway, on with the issue. And we can already see it's going to have stuff like, it's going to talk about the red wizards that were mentioned in the last issue that I don't know anything about, and a lot of stuff about wizards in general by the looks of it. And first things first, we're just starting off with more learning the rules, and this is for conditions. And it looks like here we've got a list of probably the most general and most common, like blind, charmed, deafened, frightened, incapacitated, unconscious, restrained, prone, poisoned and invisible. There's a couple of other status conditions down there that aren't covered. It's like petrified, stunned, paralysed. It seems to be all the stuff that completely stops you from doing things, because most of these just give you advantage and disadvantage on rolls basically. But anyway, now it's time to move on to skills, and this is probably going to introduce some things that cause the status conditions. So it's got over the top all the various skills you go through and what statistics they rely on, and actually these aren't the stuff that cause the effects that I thought. These are just checks you'll do: acrobatics, deception, history, insight and so on. It does also go on about proficiency bonuses here, where you get to add an additional bonus if you're proficient in a certain thing, such as acrobatics. Finishing off with your skills as well, they got a nice top tip about changing the skill, so it's good to know that if you pick something that you don't actually want or becomes useless or isn't relevant to your character, as they say for story reasons, that you can actually change it. So it's not a permanent thing. You're not going to forever regret taking a proficiency in religion and never using it, sort of thing. And now we've done that, we move on to elves, our second species to look at. Most of this is just descriptive stuff about elves, although it does give you a couple of different types of elves, which is useful to know if you're creating an elf character, what sort of elf you're going to be. But then we can move on from elves to the halflings. And again here, it's just going to give us description of what halflings are like, but also we've got two different types, the lightfoot or the stout. Moving on now, we move to the wizard class. And now we get something quite useful. It's got wizards, all the schools of magic. So there's 8 different schools of magic a wizard can choose spells from. I don't know exactly how it works. I feel like maybe they've each got a different spell book and you're allowed to choose a selection. I've done many different magic systems over the years, so there's quite a lot of options. Some of these schools of magic is stuff I've heard mentioned in other stuff before, so that's interesting. And now we're going to move on to the wizard features, which is going to go mainly talking about their spellcasting ability. And one of the things here is obviously it's got spell attack bonus and spell save DC. So your attack bonus, a lot of this is already pre-generated on the character sheet, so you have to work it out. But your attack bonus is wizard's proficiency bonus, intelligence modifier, and the spell save is 8 plus the proficiency bonus plus intelligence modifier. Now it says proficiency bonus is +2. I think this is just by being a wizard you get a wizard proficiency bonus. I haven't seen anything in the character sheets to say, oh, they get a bonus to spells. I'm sure it'll be explained later at some point. And then the more important stuff about the spell books are here now anyway. So it's got about a wizard spell book, and it tells you about how you can actually learn spells, Obviously, you've got to have time and money and be able to cast a spell to learn it. Also lets us know here, during a short rest, a wizard can choose to recover 1 used spell slot. I haven't seen that previously mentioned. And that's for a short rest, you can get 1 spell slot. So I'm assuming on the long rest, you'd recover all spell slots. It doesn't mention specifically for long rest. And now moving on to the lore, we finally get to those red wizards we talked about before. All about the red wizards coming from they. And this must be their lich wizard leader, Zaz Tam. And the other page just finishes talking up about them. A bit more about they and the sort of place it is. You've got a wizard of each school in charge, and you've got the lich ruling over them all, and also tells you how to become a lich. So just take some notes for there. And their interactions with other nations. Interesting to know that this is Lore C for factions, whereas locations previously was Lore A. So, where's Lore B? Anyway, moving on. So now, Adventure 1, Encounter 3. And this information is for the Dungeon Master's eyes only. So if you're not going to plan a run of this, you can follow the chapters to skip ahead past this section. So, the Tower of Iron Will. This isn't going to surprise you to know, but this actually is an encounter that involves a red wizard, or involves something to do with a red wizard, and probably some undead by the sounds of it. It's got a creepy mystery, and because it's still linked to Adventure 1, you're going to hear about this adventure encounter from Sister Garelel, who's an elf cleric in Phandalin. So introducing our adventure, the goal for the party is just to find out what happened to the scout that went to investigate this red wizard's tower. And the harpers actually get introduced in here, as the person sending us is a harper, so it's got a little detail about what the harpers are. So this is one of those things where you kind of need to read the whole adventure first to make sense of it, because a couple of the points in the maps don't line up. Like number 2 being in living quarters over there, that's fine, that makes a lot of sense. So this is telling me number 3 there is telling me it's a secret staircase, but then it's telling me that number 4 is the kitchen. But I don't see how that there's the kitchen, which has a sign saying hidden stairs, and number 3. So I feel like those numbers are the wrong way around. Because as well, that there looks like the fireplace. There's no key on here, but that looks like it could be the fireplace in every room, so you go through there to get there. And a little close up on the map, you can see the secret doors quite clearly marked. So I think number 4 is the kitchen, number 3 is the secret stairs, and they've just got the numbers muddled up. But yeah, so the rest of this just goes through just all the encounter and everything. We've got a nice new treasure here, so we've got a Pearl of Power introduced. And creatures, we've got these mains, which are some abyssal demons. It's also got Scout, which is mainly to do with the humanoid character you can fight. And funnily enough, when I mocked earlier, I wouldn't want to keep a skill for religion, this has actually got an intelligence religion check included in the adventure. So maybe it wasn't a waste after all. And we finish off with the final spirit, who's the main encounter of the encounter, should we say. We finally got some damage resistances that actually apply to the party, so it does give us a top tip about what damage resistant means, taking half damage and damage immunity. We still don't have any cold, necrotic or poison, so we can't do any damage immunity damage, but we've got resistant damage here because the bludgeoning, piercing, slashing for non-magical attacks. And again, it gives us proficiency bonus for the creature, which it always has done. I'm assuming this is to do with checks. I can't remember it off the top of my head. I'll see if it comes up again. So there we go, that's the 3rd issue covered. And next time we've got the 4th issue, including clerics and a really big D20. So catch you then.